Welcome to the Winner Circle on the It's More Than Just Money movement channel. And I did promise you guys that I will bring you phenomenal people that are doing phenomenal work in South Africa and abroad. And I'm committed to that mandate of actually bringing out people that are going to share value with us and help us build our lives and take them to the next level. And today, actually, before I tell you who I'm with today, please head out to that subscribe button, click it, and click on the notifications bell. Comment up front and say, I'm here. And as you listen to the conversation, let us know which part of this conversation resonates with you. Now, today I'm sitting with an entrepreneur developer. So this person runs what they call the Township Entrepreneurs Alliance. Yeah. And has been doing it now for almost 10 years, because you're on the ninth year now. You're on the ninth year now. Hey, you've pushed, eh?
It's been years.
Time flies. I remember the first time or the first day you did it, and I think you had that guy there.
Yeah.
Oh, Alon.
Yeah, Alon was there.
Alon was there. Nape was there as well.
Our audience member there
One
was
of our
there.
audience member there was there. And you were launching this work, and from that day you've launched to today, you've impacted over 55,000 entrepreneurs, directly or indirectly, with the work that we do. Now, I'm not alone. I'm co-hosting with my coach, who never wants his face to be seen, so he's in the background. So he'll be throwing in a couple of questions there and there. I think, Coach, this will be much more exciting to you because the space that is in entrepreneurship, working with entrepreneurs, and all of that is something you believe in as well. Welcome to you.
It helps that I know part of what he's been doing and I love his work. So it always helps.
Thank you, Coach.
Fantastic. Mr. Bulelani Balabala. Right. So a lot of people, when they look at the Township Entrepreneurs Alliance, they think that's where it started.
Yeah.
And they don't know the back end of the story. You know, when we say that we look at the roots and not the fruits. And the Township Entrepreneurs Alliance, I feel like, was just a byproduct of what you've always been doing over the years. Yeah. Where does your story start?
Sure. Good evening, good morning, good day to all the viewers. I think my entrepreneurial journey, man, started 18 years ago. This year in August is 18 years of entrepreneurship for me, on the 8th of August. So my journey started at Tembisa, my mother's garage. That's where I started trading. Then it was an internet cafe. The internet cafe then, over the years, by years, it took about 8 years for it to kick off. In between that, transporting school kids, stationery, selling stationery pack, your enterprise, your quite a lot of things. I mean, some construction, odd jobs there. It's only on the 8th year in June, I do not remember the actual date, where things started to change. For some reason, we caught on a lot of steam, people took an interest, we started to actually turn profitable. We grew from there, then we became a broker, working with guys that had equipment and machinery. Then they broke out their services, then we resold those to our customers. Then we worked and got our own machines. Then we started to grow our own production. Then we had a full-on manufacturing production. We've done work for quite a number of multinationals, local and multinational governments, institutions, and agencies. And this was a branding and manufacturing business that we've now wound down. We've sold our client book, we've sold some of our machines, and we've closed that business up. And I think what we are primarily focused in now, in my new venture, is consulting. We're primarily a primarily township specialist agency, and we provide corporates with access to insights, markets, knowledge of those markets, but also over and above that, acting as an intermediary that connects your government agencies, corporates, small businesses to opportunities.
Right. So quite a transition there from once. Yeah. It looks like it all sounds like one space, but it's different spaces.
Different spaces
where you've been
in many years.
Yeah. So what exactly has been the journey when you look at your timeline for you from the day you started opening up that the first computer you had for your internet cafe back
Pentium
in the day?
1, yeah.
Pentium 1.
Was a Pentium 1. My first printer was an HP 610 inkjet. Very old printer. Very, very old printer. I mean, you know, and I think maybe, you know, to give better meat to your first question, you know, when I started the internet cafe, I mean, I got wardrobe doors from my back opposite neighbor. That's what I used as tabletops. I got crates from my local store, which is a supermarket. It's no longer in business, but they now operate under a different name. I got the carpets and chairs from my local church. My aunt contributed the black and the color ink that went into the printer. Obviously, my mother gave the garage. My brother contributed the Pentium 1 computer. Jay, a good friend of mine, gave me his dustbin and his ledger book.
His dustbin?
Yeah, his dustbin, because you need to be able to throw away trash. Felicia gave me 410 Rand to actually register the business. So for me, it's a combination of people that showed up to say, listen, we're going to contribute. And there's quite a lot more. We're going to contribute to you and this journey. And I think for me, the biggest thing that I note to the second question around the journey has been keep in motion. You know, don't stop. Motion. Yeah, keep in motion. Don't stop. Because the moment you stop, you know, your brain, your mind shuts down. And I think that's a very important thing. So when I've always advised young people or other people my age, older or younger, is don't just sit and do nothing. You know, volunteer your time. You know, because the best way to elevate your life and move it to the next level for me is, you know, it's never to say what can, you know, Witness do for me. As you travel the country and thousands of people come, and the one question that's always popular is what can you do for me? But the one question that always gets the right attention is, you know, these are the gaps I'm seeing in the It's All About Money movement, and this is how I think those gaps can then be covered up, you know. So it's not a linear journey, but I think for me it's a journey of learning, a lot of patience. But now I can tell you 18 years later that, you know, the whole concept, which is cliche of trusting the process, is definitely all worth it.
Trusting the process. You know, it's easy. I've heard that a lot. You know, when people have gone through a certain journey and they've now achieved certain milestones, they look back and say to people, trust the process.
Yeah, you have to.
But did you actually trust the process per se at the time? Or were there times where you thought, perhaps maybe I'm wasting time here?
So my conviction level was, from the moment I started doing business, has always been extremely high. And the conviction level towards success has always been high. The only thing I could never pin down is what industry I would be successful in, which is why I went on a journey of trying out different things, and I was open-minded to that. But I had concluded to myself, I didn't have any connections. I'm like any other township kid. You know, I guess in this case, you know, raised by a single mother, there is no entrepreneur in my family. At that time, you know, to this day, it's sort of gotten better, but it's still on the low. But I think for me, I told myself that I have to be successful, you know, and I guess my definition of success has changed over the years. At some point, success meant me being able to help my mother, who's the only breadwinner to pay some of the bills. That then changed to me being able to take care of her and some of my relatives. That then changed to me being able to take care of my own livelihood. It then now changed to being able to take care of my sons and other investment interests, So I think for me, it's never a linear journey, but you need to have that internal, that internal conviction. It doesn't matter where it's going to come from. I mean, mine was driven by my faith, my faith in this particular case, my Christian faith and my belief that whenever I had challenges, and there were tons of them, you go, you pray, and you seek guidance, because there's a lot of challenges in entrepreneurship, but just in life in general, and sort of being able to guide yourself in the right way. So I think any entrepreneur that sort of lacks that, it's a very big problem, because I think, one of the most popular things in entrepreneurship is you must know your why, or have your why. Having your why or knowing your why is a simulator to purpose. So which is why I say, someone then walks in here and says, Mr. Umdaga, you seem like you're walking in your purpose. How did you discover it? The way I've always advised people to define or discover their purpose is be in motion. Wash the next door neighbor's car. Put the ego at the door. Even if the next door neighbor is the same age as you, they're doing better than you wash their car. You get that 50 rand in. You wash their windows. You do what you need to do, because purpose is found on the journey of working on things, on the journey of, discarding your ego or your arrogance to then saying, I'm committed to the end goal. Whoever takes me there, it doesn't matter what they say in the short time, because things always change in the long. There's some people that sort of have looked at your journey coming up over the years and have said, he's not going to be anything. He's not going to get anywhere. But look at where you are today. And, life is not about comparisons, but when you sort of look at where those people are compared to where you are now, because you're operating from a place of reciprocity, from a place of humility, from a place of a good and open heart, you achieve way more because you are not holding on to stuff. Because the mindset that we have is get all you can, sit on the can, and can all you get. But then that's a greed, that's a scarcity mindset, and it doesn't open up opportunities. You're always in panic mode. But when your heart has been opened up, then you will supersede your own individual growth, because there are people that are going to take you there whether you like it or not. Why? Because you've already conspired yourself towards success. Whether you like it or not, you're going to supersede whatever you think.
Coach, I see you busy nodding, holding your chin there. What's going on?
I'm loving what you're saying. So, Bulelani, you've worked with thousands of entrepreneurs. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And in line with what you're saying, scarcity mindset and everything, you've seen some that you've worked with succeed, and you've seen some fall away and quit entrepreneurship. What would you say is the difference between those two?
You know what? I think for me, it's the difference is having a very clear why. That's the first thing. The second thing for me that has been, that sort of tops the charts for me, they are curious. The ones that I've seen that have succeeded have got more curiosity than the other. It's curiosity that drives someone to set up a space in a mall, in one of the biggest malls in Africa. For someone to think out of the box and say, we'll actually have conferencing with educational content where people have always been told this is a consumerism space. We're going to educate. It's curiosity. So the ones that have been curious are the ones who have always seemed to succeed, because those are the ones who are going to research what is government doing now. Those are the ones who are going to listen to the SONA State of the Nation address, which is coming up, and say, I'm noting down all the things that the president is saying. I'm going to follow up with all these institutions. Because the moment you lack that level of curiosity, unfortunately, what then develops from you is entitlement. Which is why then you have people who are entitled. Yeah, we love your content, but why did you do it in a mall? No, we love your content, but why did you bring that person? No, we love your content, but why is it on YouTube, and why aren't you subsidizing our data? It's a level of entitlement. The individual has already gone the mile by saying, I'm going to create, but the individual doesn't just want to get the creation, they want it consumed for them. So I think for me, it's important to, number one, stay curious, stay hungry, but most importantly, on the low days, be driven by the why. Because for me, the why is inspirational. The curiosity is functional, because the moment you're inspired and you know how to be functional, or you're curious enough to be functional, you're going to go knock on any door. But not necessarily any door, any of the doors that are in line with your journey. And I think, I sort of correct that, because we've often heard, and I've told people many years ago, don't leave any money on the table. But you see, to correct it, don't leave any money that is meant for you on the table. So sometimes
there's money that's not meant for you?
There's definitely money that's not meant for you. To sort of quantify that is, you can make money from anything, and we've seen it. People are making millions and billions in the same industries that we are operating in, or some other people are operating in. The big thing for me is to then say, instead of spreading your focus across the board and you're putting in 20% of your efforts on 5 different things, or 10% of your efforts on 10 different things, what is that one thing that you're then going to convict yourself in saying, I'm going to stick to this thing and I'm going to see it all the way? The moment you do that, then you start to open yourself up to saying, what is the value chain of that particular thing? So in this particular case, we've got a book in front of us. One could publish it and sell it directly to consumer. One could then publish it and then sell it to other retail stores that are unconventional, where the people who normally consume book content buy books from. So instead of setting up a bookstore or loading the book up with exclusive book, is to say, the consumer that buys my book, and I've studied it over the past 12 months and we've collected data, is a single lady who's highly career driven, who works in places like 123. They then consume content, but they then consume things and they live their lives in these spaces, in these boutiques and in these spas. Which ones of these spaces could I then assimilate to put my book in? And those people would then guarantee to purchase that. What that then called is what in the tech space is called innovation. In the simplest terms to people out there, innovation is two ideologies colliding, two thoughts and two ideas colliding. Is when a phone meets a camera, it's innovation. Is when someone who's in the manufacturing space is being mentored by someone who runs a cleaning company. Because the more wise they ask you because they don't understand your industry, they drive you to think deeper and be more meaningful and purposeful about your execution.
Yeah, that sounds very interesting, because one would always argue and say, if you are in a certain space or about to get into a certain space, find people that are already operating in that space and ask them to mentor you. And you come in with a different angle and say, but innovation could then be likened to getting somebody who runs a cleaning company to mentor somebody who's in a tech company, because then they would be forced to ask certain questions. Yeah. Can you delve deeper into that?
For me, it's, iteration. And, when you talk about iteration, we talk about the stages of growth. I mean, Samsung didn't start as the tech giant that they are today. There used to be a food outlet. The Coca-Cola logo that is famous today didn't look like the way that it looks now. And a lot of large multinationals have gone through layers of iteration. But it's difficult for you to go through layers of iteration if you don't ask why constantly. So, okay, cool, we are here today, but why are we here? No, we answered it yesterday, but the answer you gave yesterday can't be the answer for today. Why? Because the world is ever evolving. So your why must constantly evolve and it must move with the time so that you avoid the Nokia situation, where we had 70% of the market share, and at a twinkle of an eye, as the CEO says at the time before he burst into tears, we didn't know that we'd be at that point because we had 2/3 of the market, within our cusp. So the moment you stop asking the why, you stop adding value. And the moment you stop adding value, you'll get kicked out. If you're married, your person's going to find someone better. Because you are not sowing a seed into that particular place. If you are in a partnership, the people are going to seek to kick you out or to buy you out. And life is primarily driven by value being given and value being reciprocated. Mm-hmm. And then sometimes we then become very limited or simple-minded in this purview. We then stop to grow. We then grow complacent. And complacency, breeds contempt, or rather the right phrase is familiarity breeds contempt. When you've been in a space long enough and you think that you are the man, that's the most likely moment when you're going to get toppled over, because there'll always be someone as hungry as you.
So how do you then, I don't know, Coach, you seem nodding, but how do you then pivot from one business to another, or innovate within the business without feeling like you failed in the first thing that you were doing or in the second thing that you were doing? I mean, in your case, you said you started off, opened an internet cafe, then it evolved into branding, then it evolved into empowering entrepreneurs, then it evolved into consulting. Yeah. How did you move from one kind of business or one kind of business unit within your business to the next without feeling like you sold out in the first one? You sold out in the dream.
Yeah. You know what? You are not going to feel like you're selling out. Because I won't say we, but I viewed my business or my businesses, especially the ones that I poured energy, time, effort into, as my babies. That I grew from nothing, from making 180 Rand a month for 8 years to now
you made 180 Rand a month for 8 years?
So I kept a ledger.
So 180?
Yeah.
A month?
So I kept a ledger.
For 8 years?
The first day I opened up my internet cafe, we made 5 rand, the second 2 rand, and it's been that up and down for about 7 years. Because I kept a ledger, because I was the only employee for those first 7 years. So when I went to go stock, I closed,
so why didn't you give up
the shop. No, because I was telling you, my conviction. My conviction. That's the only thing. And it's not to say, and I'm
not asking because I was expecting you to give up. I'm interested that if someone is making 180, I asked the question earlier on to the guest we had. I said to him, what do you think of these words? If the thing that I'm doing right now does not work for me, perhaps it will work on me. And I'm sensing that because 180 rands, things were not working out.
No, they're not. So for me...
A month.
No. And when you then talk to...
For 7 years.
When you then talk to management...
Listen, coach, it's not 3 months. It's not 4 months. It's not 12 months. It's 7 years.
Yeah. You know where my mind is going? It's if you met another Bulelani now doing the same thing and it's year number 6, would you advise him to go for year number 7?
Shut that business down. You're crazy. What are you doing? Live, move. But also, that's because that's my ignorant answer to his moment, because I now know more. But in that moment...
What didn't you know then? That you know now?
So obviously, and a lot of things, right? So number one, I guess I was stubborn more than I was operational and functional. Number two, I had no entrepreneurial knowledge, right? So I'm doing this off the cuff of, I'm going to make this thing work.
What is your background? Give us your background.
Almost no background, because my highest grade is grade 9 starting this business. My highest grade is grade 9. I left grade 9. I was taken to an FET college, which is a further education technological college at the time. It was, I think, Bulelani West College, the one in Kempton Park. I did the introductory course, which is the NCOR. I did N1. I did N2 while doing N3 before specializing. Then the money ran dry. Then I was a dropout in that particular case. It took about 2.5 years. No business at all. No, not necessarily business, but doing nothing. It wasn't a gap year. It's like it's an economic gap year. You don't choose. Actually, I've coined a good term. It's economic gap year. You don't choose not to do anything. But at the moment, it was circumstance that chose for me. You don't know what to do. I didn't know what to do, but also I had pride. Because there was a moment where my mother had said to me, listen, I've negotiated with someone who works for an electrical company. You must go with your cousin, get on a train at Okmo, go to Park Station, go to this company, put your CVs in, they're going to give you a job, and the job was to dig electrical trenches. So with no backup, no anything, just pride, looked at my cousin and I was like, my man, there's no way I'm digging electrical trenches. We got on the trains, we went to Park Station, got to Park Station, chucked the CVs in the bin, got back, and I told my mother, no, we applied, we'll wait and hear what they say. Needless to say, that was that a smart move? It's a stupid move, in my view, right? Because it was...
Do you think it would have worked out differently if you took that job?
You know what? I don't know. I don't know. All I know is where I am now.
You just didn't want to dig.
I just didn't want to dig. There was no other motivation. But for me, I'd never encourage any other young person to do the same. Because I always say, and I think, a smart gentleman, says you miss 99% of the shots you never take. And sometimes the shots that we never take, or the shots we never actually make, are the shots that don't look so good. Because we've classified success as, Mall of Africa. We've classified success as working for large multinational institutions. We've classified success, being able to afford a place in Rosebank, Waterfall, or Hyde Park. And that for me, in my view, without judging anyone, because success is relative, that's limited success. For me is to say, have I looked at the whole entire landscape and market, and then do I now define this? Am I defining this from a point of materialism, or am I defining this from a point of, I've actually scanned and covered the whole field, and I believe that this is where I'm going to pin my nets. I say this on the back of the work that I do, because the work that I do is sekas. And majority, I've seen quite a number of amazing individuals that could actually have added more value and made way more money in the communities and the township that they operate in, but they didn't, because if in Spane Rosebank, then I look like a better individual. But it's not like that, because, and I'll tell you something. So one Jewish CEO of one of the big agencies says to me, "We need you guys to come in and give us insights." I then say to him, you guys have got over 100 to 500 black amazing people that work for you. Why do you need insights from me? Because you can just simply ask these individuals for insights. He then says, no, but there's a challenge with that. And not to be disrespectful, they far remove themselves from the townships that they come from. They don't identify themselves with those. So it's not that they can't give us the insights, they are not willing to give those insights. That could also then be two-pronged. It could also then be the trauma of having grown up in that space and what happened to you, or then just be driven by, I want to then rid myself of that and get into a better space. It's not to say the one is bad over the other. It's just to say there is a lay there's a lay happening at the moment. So for me, it's always been to say, beyond everything that has happened, how do you take advantage of everything that is happening in the market? So now there's a lot of chatter around, it's election year, things are going to be bad. They're bad if you want them to be.
You guys must register to vote, ne?
You must register to vote, actually. Voter weekend is actually...
Oh, if they didn't register today and tomorrow,
this is the last voter registration.
If you are seeing this after the voter week, register next time, ne? Continue then.
But register to vote.
You must register to vote.
But register to vote either way. Yeah. Always be ready, right?
Always register to vote.
Yeah, so, yeah. I lost my train of thought there.
No, you didn't. Let me help
you.
Right. I heard you quite correctly when it comes to market insights and everything that is going on in the market, right? But I'm more interested in your mindset, especially like you're sitting here, you've built your business now, it's successful. It's 18 years later.
Yeah.
But 7 years of those 18 years, you were making 180 per month.
Yeah.
Chief, I don't know, man. I'm stuck on that because 180 per month for 8 years, I can calculate from the back of my mind.
Let me give you context.
Yeah.
In actual fact,
and you didn't give up.
So in actual fact, the 180 is not profit. Let me give you context.
It's gross.
The 180, the 180, the 180 is gross. And I'll take you back. When we applied for internet, then we had dial-up internet, right? Dial-up internet then migrated...
From Telkom?
Yeah, from Telkom. Dial-up internet then migrated to what is called ADSL. In Tembisa, we didn't have an exchange for ADSL. At least that's what that call or sales lady or gentleman said to me when we applied. CVs,
That's why I'm saying, I thought back in the day,
he was the man.
You must be coining it.
No. We coined
not
it.
CVs, assignments.
You did assignments. I did assignments, everything. Wikipedia, one for me, we made assignments. But that lady says to me, not to check you back to the story, then we had dial-up internet. Then I wanted to apply for internet to be able to run this business. She says, we don't have an exchange in Tembisa, which is an ADSL exchange. Because you put in the application, we will now build in the exchange into Tembisa. So it took them about 18 to about 24 months for them to build in the exchange. However, what I was able to get after a year of operation is a fax machine that was bought for me by my brother. Now you've got this internet cafe that has got nothing internet about it, and then you've got the cafe which has got nothing cafe about it, right? So we're just running on whim because I don't even know how to use a computer. So I'm learning as I move along. So what we then did is on the second year we applied for something called Hocha Connect. Hocha. So what Hocha is with everyone walking around with the Huawei modem today, that's what Hocha was then.
Oh, those
ones, you plug one, you put in the laptop, and then it's got you open it up, it looks like a flip phone with an antenna. We had that. But Hocha's charging us 4,000 of consumption, 4,000 to 5,000 Rand a month of consumption. We are charging the people market rate for ADSL that they're paying in town.
Just 2 rands.
So every single month we are chasing 2,000 Rand. We're over 2,000 to 3,000 Rand a month. We're always chasing a 30-day cycle because we are hoping that one day we'll have the exchange in, we'll be able to charge the right rate, and the moment we charge the right rate, an influx of people will come. But our business was never even made by that. The one tipping point that started to change the internet cafe I ran in Tembisa was I had to ask myself, that's why I stressed the why. I had to ask myself, but why do people come to an internet cafe? You know, they come to type CVs, they come to scan documents, they come to fax. We made a lot of money from faxing actually before the people started with Gmail accounts. I used to hate Google.
You hated innovation.
I hated
They
innovation.
disrupted your business.
They disrupted my business. But the moment I answered the question to say, no, but these guys are coming here, they're coming here to type CVs. They want me to give them a shot at an opportunity. But now, what shot at an opportunity? Because I'm not the giver of jobs. Here's the shot. So I started to notice a pattern. Whenever certain jobs were opening up within a certain space, you had an influx of people that came in who were security guards, who were coming in to get their CVs typed for that particular job. You could notice when you are typing the CVs that the job description, not a job description, but their work experience, is assimilated to guards. Then you started to ask the question, but why do I have on a Friday or on a Thursday 500 people, or not even 500, but why do I have 50 people coming in to type the same type of CVs? That means that there's something going on. Now you start to chat to them, you understand that, it's actually guards. Then I realized something, that as I was typing the CVs, quite a large majority of them either went to the same schools in Tembisa, they've got the same grade E or grade C, they're applying for the same job. Who's going to get it? Then I start to unpack how many other townships or other internet cafes are typing these CVs. So if I'm a recruiter back then, and there was no tech like there is now, where you're able to punch in your details and then it does automatic filtering, I have to go physically to 10,000 CVs. So then what I then did is, we're going to give them a shot, because you've got 0.5 milliseconds in order for you to gain their audience or the attention of someone when they look at your business card or your CV or your company proposal. So what we're going to do is that we then created a CV template that allowed us efficiency, that allowed us to type it quickly, but also because of the decoration and the designs that we created, it then got people, it gave in what we call a wow effect. What do you do, or what can you do, or what can you add in your business, your brand, your personal brand, that costs you nothing but gets you people talking about you? So it's one of the things I learned, now reminded by the gentleman who's up on the screen at Race Corp. The moment I started to think about that, then I started to go to clients, and I would go and do proposals. For a year, I went to clients to go pitch for business with no shoes on.
No shoes on?
Yeah, with no shoes. I wore no shoes. You know why? Because that moment left an indelible impression in that person's mind. It's either you were crazy, you were stupid, you were dumb, or you were innovative. We don't understand it, but when I get home, I'm going to tell my wife about what you did.
Which one were you?
I was all of them. But you know what happens? But you know what happens when they tell the wife about you? The wife then says, to understand his craziness more, what does he do? The moment he answers what I do, I now have a free ambassador who talks up clearly about what I do, because they need to validate the craziness of this individual. The moment he tells the wife what I actually do, he's sown a seed in the wife. Now, what that happens is that the moment an opportunity that comes up in her workspace that kind of looks like me or the business I run, I'm the person they will call. Why? Because I was stupid enough and I was bold enough and I was crazy enough to say that I'm going to pitch a certain way. And that's how I pitched that particular business. And that's how the CV business boomed. So for quite a number of years, I was the only one typing them. I've typed over 25,000 CVs. I've got them on the CD-ROM. I don't know why I did that, as if this day would come where evidence would be required for the work that you've done. From keeping the ledger, I still have those 3 books with all the ledgers for the first 7 years. The moment I got employees the 5 rands, the moment I got employees in, it was difficult to have a ledger. They didn't really keep up with it. I was not there to really manage. Then we integrated over the years. Now we're using different accounting systems.
How did you pivot into then the printing business, then the branding business? Was that something that happened progressively, or you knew that you would one day get into that space?
So I've always wanted to be in print. The idea of being in print was impressed on me in 2005 when I saw a good friend of mine.
Is that before the internet cafe?
Before anything. He came back home from school in Tlaganipo with a t-shirt that was written Tlaganipo. In Tembisa, it's 2005, 2004, you've got a t-shirt with your name, it's unfounded. Where did you find a t-shirt with your name printed on it? You know, that raised curiosity. What that then did is then said, actually, this whole print thing is not far-fetched. What if I printed for other people? Imagine how many people. But I was assimilating that to soccer supporters to say, you know, if soccer supporters printed their t-shirts, I could make gang money because people are loyal to soccer. I never made the money from printing soccer t-shirts, but it planted a seed in me, right? To then say, there's this thing called print. Then I did it, you know, in actual fact, to give, you know, credence, the internet cafe was almost the second business I ran after the first. The first one was actually driven by the t-shirts. I saw this guy wearing a t-shirt. He's a good friend of mine. He's in grade 11. I love the t-shirt. I asked him to connect me with his classmate who does these t-shirts. The classmates does them from a place in Bramley, which is run by a Chinese gentleman. I then say to him, I will go out and find customers from wherever, but if I find them, will you co-sign the work, meaning that you'll act as a supplier for me with this work? We agreed. There I was talking to a couple of friends. Then I spoke to a different group of friends, Dumsani at the time, and they were now in leadership positions. I then say to them...
Leadership position simply means prefect. That's what I hear. You put it like that, the leaders of the country or something.
They were prefects at the time and could influence. So I say that to them, I don't know. I don't have any educational background. I don't have any knowledge, but I think I could make you guys matric jackets. You know, I planted seed. They go through 2006. You know, later on in the year, I get a call from the deputy principal. We want to talk to you. And I remember her name, Mrs. Ras, because she was tough. Very tough lady to talk to. Said, okay, I hear you do matric jackets. We already have a supplier we've been working with for many years. Tell me about your business. No, Mrs. Ras, you know, we've been running for a number of years. We've been running for a number of years. We've got a factory in Cape Town. I lied. We've done work for companies like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Da, 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 da. She's like, yeah, I hear you, whatever. Okay, cool. Second meetup, she says, now you're going to meet the students. You must come with some designs. I go home, I sketch on a piece of paper, some designs. I come there with some random t-shirts. You know, students, man, I don't know what it was. You know, I don't know. You know, they were screaming. They were happy. They were like, we'll go with that one. It was pieces of paper, you know. And I went there with my pink shirt, formal trousers, and my kick and boboza, because the previous year I was accompanying my cousin to a matric dance. So I had those formal clothes with my Motorola V3 cover and no phone, you know, because I didn't have a cell phone, and my relay laptop bag and no laptop bag.
And no laptop inside.
No laptop inside. No papers even. So I walk
Fake it till you make it.
I walk into the school on our third meeting, which was almost the final meeting. On our third meeting, Mrs. Ras says to me, where did you park? You know, I've actually never answered. Now we're getting to know. I was like, no, my driver dropped me off. You know, the security guard took too long to open up the gate, so I asked him to just go wait for me in Kempton Park at the shops, because this is in Rosefield. He'll come back and pick me up. But I don't have a driver. I walked from West Street all the way to Rosefield. And then whenever I'd walk out, I'd say, no, my driver's out now. See you guys later. The moment I duck out the corner, I run down so they don't see that I actually don't have a driver. But the day she signs the check, she says to me, I'm about to sign you a check. The check was 14,720 rand.
14,700?
No. The order was for 14,720. Yeah. So the check would be for 50% of that. She says, I'm about to write you the check. And she doesn't ask who I make the check out to. As she's writing, I say, no, don't write the check out to the company. You can write the check out to me because I'm the sole owner of the company. If you write it to the company, it might delay us or, you know, delivering the order. And you seem like someone who really wants their order delivered on time. The only reason I did that is that my brother would write 50 rand checks and I'd go to the bank, at the time was Standard Bank, and I'd cash them with my ID. So the thinking was, I will walk back down to West Street in Kempton Park. I'd go into this bank and give them my ID, and I don't have a bank account. The business doesn't have a bank account, and they'd cash the check for me. The bank manager was like, no, my man, you're crazy. This is a lot of money. We're going to have you open an account. It took 7 days. The money cleared. We delivered on that order. I made my 700 rand from that order. The first 700 I'd made in my life. A profit. Gave my mother 500. She thought I was selling drugs. She really prayed. She's been praying till today. But what then happens after that is I experience a spike, but no other business after. Then they're thinking, well, start an internet cafe because the internet cafe would give you daily money so that you pursue the bigger business. That daily money became a place I got parked in for 7 years, and there was no daily money. Only after that did things start happening. And the transition is from the 8th year, we start making money. Not a lot of money, we start making okay money for me to get in one employee. That time I had one employee, I was paying them 1,300 rand. I was not making money, we're in debt. So sonke nje is pity at that moment. But the sort of transition is the moment this guy comes in, that's where I now go on use taxis to go to places that were nearby communities like your Glenmarie or so. By chance, I meet a gentleman who owned a business. He was the same age as me. He was a white gent, Philip. He says to me, you know what? I love your story. I love what you're about. We're the same age. So what I'll do is I won't just allow you to broker your service. So what brokering services means is they sold banners and we were going to get a 5% discount from them, but charge exactly the same amount as them in our community. But he was like, I'll teach you the whole business. I'll teach you where I buy materials, where I buy machines, how much I pay my guys. I'll teach you who my customers are. We'll go with them. So every single week, within a weekday, there were 2 days I spent there and he taught me the whole entire print business. So me being able to buy machines and knowing where to buy them eventually when we could came from there. And how we bought our first printing machine is it's a long story. We don't have time for. Do we have time for that?
Keep going, Chief.
So how we bought our first machine is we didn't have the money, but I had the audience of a big advertising, the biggest advertising agency in the country, which is Joe Public. So when I was at an institution or a training body called Race Corp, I had these business cards.
Race Corp, that guy there on the screen.
The gents over there.
Yeah.
I had business cards that looked like a banking card. So before they became very popular, they looked like a banking card. They had a bank chip on them. And then they had like the 4 specialized numbers in front, right? The 4 compartments of numbers which make up 16 card numbers. What we then did to put a story behind it is the first set of numbers were the seconds we've been in business. The next set of numbers were the minutes we've been in business. The third set of numbers were the hours we've been in business. And then the last set of numbers were the days we've been in business. So that whenever someone picks this up and says, oh, wow, this looks like a bank card, what do these numbers mean? We could tell a story of the fact that we've actually are in the game when we're consistent. So this gentleman takes this, who's my strategy guide at the time, and says, you've got an amazing story. This is so creative what you've done here, and you're from the township. He puts it in his pocket, he leaves. A couple of months later, he says to me, listen, I'm here with one of his clients. He says, I'm here with one of my clients. They want to meet you. It so happens is Pepe Murray, the co-founder of Joe Public, it's the biggest agency of the country. Yeah. And then he says to me, we get into this meeting. Who created this? I did the creative work for it and all that stuff. You know what? We love what you've done here. We would want to work with you and support you. I then say to them, okay, if you want to support me, there ain't no problem. I need a printing machine. The cost of a printing machine is X amount of money. We'll put up that money for you to buy the machine, 0 interest on it. Take as much time as you want to pay back the machine. Needless to say, I have not paid back the machine. That amount is written off. You're still taking your time. That amount is written off. No, I'm not taking. That amount is written off. And that's how we were able to buy our first machine. Then we negotiated with them and said, listen, whatever orders you guys want, we'll give you guys discounts on them. They were like, no problem. We're not interested in that. We're just interested in your story of creativity and how you were able to answer the why. It spoke to us because we're creatives, and that's how we were able to get our first machine. The machine at the time was 265,000 rand. This was in 2011, I think.
Mm-hmm. Coach?
There's a lot.
Interesting.
I think my journey is very long.
You're clear about your journey, and I love how you articulate it. I'm curious of one thing, though. And I know this will help someone who is on their 7 years. They are stuck. The business is
8. 180 per month. Don't forget. 180.
Someone who's in that season and struggling to make it work. Because you said the main reason you stayed that long was you didn't have the entrepreneurial knowledge you have now. So if you were to go back with that knowledge now, how would you run that business differently? I
don't think, would you even run that business if you had...
So if my mindset was, if I had the knowledge I have, and I was kept to running that business, I'd run it, but I would have done some insane stuff. right? Because, you know, the thing is, you can make money from every industry can create a billionaire. Every business can't. So an internet cafe can't create
Every industry can create a billionaire, but not every
business, or rather every business sector. I'll give context. An internet cafe can't create a billionaire. It might create 1 million, but maybe it might not surpass 2 million, right? Because it's capped. But if you are able to then break out and have branding, sourcing happening in the background, where you're creating collateral for large corporations and institutions, now you've broken out of the fold, but you've added a layer that might put you in a space where you're able to make 2 to 5 million rand a month, but it still doesn't make you a billion. If you are then able to scale that exponentially into other spaces and branches, then you might be able to hit those numbers by the multiplier effect, the 10xing your business. So which is why for me, it then becomes important to then say, and it was a crazy because I used to say I'm going to be a billionaire from typing CVs. It's unfathomable. It's unfathomable. I mean, 1 billion divided by 25 rand for a two-pager. I mean, you'd only just, the hours to type. I need to live 7 lives in order to be able to make 1 billion from typing CVs. So
there is such a thing as the wrong business.
So there is, no. There's no
the wrong business.
So there's no such thing as the wrong business. There is the right business, the right ambitions, but the wrong pairing. So the ambitions must be realistic to the business that you are in.
Wrong period. So I can be a billionaire typing CVs now?
No, you can't. Okay. There's definitely no way you're gonna. So that's what I mean. There's definitely no way you're gonna be a billionaire by you personally typing CVs. However, you can be a billionaire in automating a system that will allow a person to input their data from anywhere in the world and create and output their own PDF version of their own CV.
Correct.
The moment you are able to automate, then what it does is it's the multiplier effect. Because here's the thing. Every single business, whether you're in the services business, whether you're in the product, every single business needs to be productized. That's what everyone needs to understand. If you're a lawyer, you need to productize. If you're an accountant, you need to productize.
What does that mean?
What that means is this. Banks in and themselves are services businesses. But to a consumer doesn't buy service. You can't scale, or rather, no. A consumer buys service, but you can't scale services. Why? Because services are limited to an individual who then has key expertise. The more and more he grows those expertise, then he's able to be paid more. But the paying more is limited to the amount of time he can give. Which is why now you've got different banking products. You've got a black, you've got a gold, you've got a student, you've got a platinum, you've got a wealth. What that then did is it productized a service. So it then becomes important for you to be able to productize the service that you offer. You know, whether it's, the services have now evolved from accounting to whatever, to social media, to influencing, to whatever the case is. You need to productize them. What productizing does is, it says, if I'm a speaker, which I am, and my voice burns, I'm still able to have a layer of productizing that is able to be bought by the consumers. So I'm evolving and I'm adding layers to the products, to my services in the form of actual products that people can consume in real time anywhere in the world and anywhere in time. So what we then do as entrepreneurs, we make the mistake of saying, because you started the business, you are the only one who can do what you do. But that's limited or capped knowledge. By capped, it's capped knowledge. And what you should be doing is say, build systems and processes. But systems and processes are a big word. How do you simplify that? Over a 7 or 14-day period, what do you do from the moment you wake up to the moment you sleep as a business owner? Whether it's business related or personal related. At the end of that cycle, on the 8th day, you've decided to do 7, or the 15th day, if you decided to do 14. Map out, go back to that ledger and map out every single thing that you did. And ask yourself 3 things. What is it that I did in there that was technical? Technical means it's anything that can be done by a third party, doesn't need any special skills, as long as you give someone a manual to be able to do what you've done here. So you've got the shop that is beautifully rigged. You should be able to have a manual that says, This is how this shop is rigged, so that anywhere you go in the country, even if you are not there, someone needs to be able to have a manual with picture references to rig that shop on the first day of working for you. You know, and that's what systemizing is. Systemized systems and processes saying to someone, if I go open the newspaper on a Monday and I buy it the Sunday before, and I make sure I buy it the Sunday before at 6 a.m. because they ran out at 8, and I make sure that on Tuesday I read out all the jobs that are related to these key industries, and I look out for the closing dates, and I look out for the whatever numbers, and I look out for, is there compulsory briefings? Those are the things I look out for. I could write that in a one-pager, give it to someone, or give it even to my sister and brother and ask them to articulate it. The challenge that we experience that caps our growth is the fact that we are unable to clearly communicate to the next person what we actually expect and want from them. And what that then creates is a morphed communication. Now, I'll make an example. This is very important to brand development. How many people or how many businesses do you know of where one of their values is integrity?
Integrity, all of them.
Everyone. If the one common value is integrity, but let me do this. If you ask 5 employees that work for that one business, and if they were 4 business or 2 business partners, and they had 2 employees, not a lot, and you asked all of them what integrity means to them, all of them would give you individual answers. That's how you know you've got a terrible, terrible, terrible value structure. And that's how you know that they won't be able to guarantee the correct output of what it actually means for that business. Because the first thing that you do is, and I used to love ladies back in the day when we were growing up, they'd say,
you don't love them anymore?
No, I don't. No, I do. So they'd say, I'd never date witness because I've got standards. How many people have ever heard someone say something like that? Yo, imagine dating witness. Yo, I'd never date witness because I've got standards. My standards are too high. But she won't even be able to tell you what those standards are.
Yeah.
So the best way to measure out values, whether you're in business or in your personal life, is to do this. Define the value that most resonates with you. So in this case, integrity.
Sure.
And then do your one-line definition. What does integrity mean to me? So integrity means to me is doing what you said you would do when you said you would do it, right? But that's still too vague. What are the 3 or 4 steps for us to measure as a business what integrity is? Number 1, and this is across the board. If you're a designer, for instance, and you are working for me, at the time I had a lot of designers working for me. The number one demonstration of working in integrity, did you fill in the client brief? Number 2, did you get the client to fill in the client brief? Number 3, did you demonstrate that you understand? And how we measured demonstration was, you said you understood, then you got a team member, doesn't matter who they were, you explained what the client was looking for, and they confirmed that they understood, and they signed on it. And then number 4, you added a wow effect. And how we measure the wow effect is, you delivered design output, but you added a layer that was conversational and got people talking about it. And the easiest way to measure that is you created it, and then you rally team members around to then give their output. If their output was, wow, or this is great, we've never seen this before, then you have met the brief. Then it's measurable across the board. Then to the driver that I hire, it's the exact same thing. You know, if you're going to go out today and then make pickups and deliveries, number 1, have you understood the brief of where you need to go? Number 2, is it signed for? So it's easy for you to sit down with someone and say you were wrong, and also be able to tell them how they were wrong. It's also easy to pick up where the breakages are within your business. So systemization is very powerful, but it's also then what leads to that exponential growth. Yeah. Because you can be here seated on this chair, but books are sold online or the platform, and other things are happening transactionally behind you. It needs you, but it doesn't need you at that moment. It needs your oversight, and let's not also create the misunderstanding that says you'll put your business on autopilot. So whenever I meet up with my mentor, he asks me 4 questions. You know, so how much? So these are the questions in this order. Hi, how are you? No, how many sales have you made to date? Number 1. Number 2, what is your sales pay? What is the value of the sales pipeline? Number 3, what is the value of your prospects? Number 4, what have you invoiced? And he says, if you can't answer those on any given moment, then you have no business. Because you need to be able to know, what you're prospecting, what you're leading, what your team is quoting. And what that then does is that it drives you further into understanding your systems. What are your systems?
Yeah.
You need to be able to have...
But at what point did that turning point happen in your entrepreneurial journey where you were this young person that started out, didn't even have any education, started with an internet cafe, went into printing, then went into branding? At what point did the turning point take place where you felt like now you are a full-on entrepreneur who can also start an organization that now empowers other entrepreneurs to have these things that you're talking about?
I have to give them their flowers, right? It was Race Corp. Because when I was at Race Corp, which is an incubator, I learned information I didn't. And just to quantify this, we start businesses, we start anything in life, friendships, relationships, whatever. We start them according to the level of our education, the level of our knowledge, the level of our exposure. And exposure could be broken down into a myriad of different things. It's the TV programs you watch, it's the books you consume, it's the people you hang around with, it's the places you go to. Because you can't start what you don't know. You can only start what you're exposed to or what you know. And that exposure comes through those three things. So it makes sense why I started an internet cafe then, because there were 7 of them in the community at the time. Over and above 7, there were other hair salons, there was a tuck shop, there were other car washes, but I just chose this one.
Tuck shop, tuck shop.
You see? So for me, it then becomes important that I convey this message across. Expose yourself. Which is why when we started this conversation, we said, leave the ego at the door. Wash the neighbor's car. If we are peers and we're the same age, I'm going to come to your house and wash your windows. I don't care what you say. You're going to pay me what you pay the helper, because why am I complaining about not having money when I know you're paying a helper or a cleaner who's coming to clean your house? So I'm going to come clean your house, and you're going to pay me whatever you pay the helper. I'm going to take some of that money. I'm going to get into a taxi. I'm going to come to a place that is aspirational to me, and I'm just going to watch people live. I'm going to walk into a restaurant and buy coffee and watch people live. When you say you're going to go to an aspirational place, you mean you go to like a place other than where you come from? Yeah, so an aspirational place for me. Yeah, an aspirational place to me was a place in Pretoria, CBD. Why? Because every time I drove into the CBD, there was Mercedes-Benz. So the Mercedes-Benz was at the corner. Yeah. Was aspirational. And the only way I was exposed to Pretoria was when I had to go register the business at CIPC. You had to manually and physically go and register the business there. So I'd see this Mercedes-Benz, and when I got a little bit of cash, every time I'd get off the taxi there, I'd go talk to a sales guy there. And then my favorite car, my favorite car was a CLS 55 AMG, no longer DTM AMG, multi-spoke, chrome rims, 19-inch, keyless entry, analog watch, leather, ostrich leather, hand-stitched, oak wood. I knew it in detail. It's clear. When I could afford it, I didn't buy that car. Because that was the goalpost changed. That was aspirational to me. And then I'd go at the time, Rooibos at Wimpy was 3 rand. I'd go into Wimpy, I'd buy City Press or whatever the newspaper was. I'd sit there and look professional or look busy, and I'd just watch people live. Then it was interesting. And what that said to me is that actually people are living. There's more to life than just Tembisa. There's more to life than just wanting certain things. Then that then planted the seed of curiosity.
Yeah. Coach, I see you want to get involved.
No, I'm loving what you're saying. What advice do you have then for someone who is going through their season and wants to give up but is not sure? Am I losing because I'm doing the wrong things and I could learn? I should hang in there and try and learn, or this is just the wrong business? It's time to close it.
So I think for me, it's to do the first thing I'd want to do is for us to demystify failing and failure, right? Because the things that we build are so close to us and we love them so much and we own them. Most of the time when they fail, we believe that we have failed, And when we believe that we have failed, it goes into our psyche or psychology and it limits us. It limits you because now you think that you're a failure, but you're not a failure. Because what it's like the Thomas Edison ideology that says, I didn't fail 1,000 times, but I just found 1,000 ways how not to create a light bulb. That if we took on that mindset, We would then start to divorce ourselves from the failure. And then you then start to employ the second biggest thing that would be my biggest advice. Learn fast, fail fast. Don't do what I did in 7 years, right? That was not great. And the reason why it was not great, and I'll tell you this, is I personally believe, this is just me, I personally believe that with the right education, the right systems, the right education, the right exposure, you build a better business and you build it leaner and faster. The reason why it took me 7 years is because I didn't have education. I had to learn as I was hustling. You know, I had to sort of try and find mentorship, but that mentorship was never early. That conversations were never had. That conversation of mentorship is something new that came up much later on. So it became a tough start because of the background. So when someone is sitting there, and you know, sometimes our motivation for jumping into business is the limited mindset that says, I'm making them money. You know, you're never making them money.
Who did you think you were making money for?
Exactly. You know, but for me, it's never, but for me, no, I didn't think I was making anyone. I'd never worked for anyone before, you know, but it's the conversational piece from the question that is asking to the advice to the young guys to say to them, number one, you know, you must employ curiosity. But beyond being able to employ curiosity, you must educate yourself and actually read books. Because the more you expose yourself is the more innovative you become. And the more innovative you become, then you must do the second biggest thing. Stick to the job for as long as you can get all the knowledge that you can out of that. Because what it's going to help you with the moment you jump into business is you learn governance.
But isn't it counterintuitive that somebody who's been an entrepreneur through and through all their lives was even willing to take 180, but is not willing to take a higher paying job where they're digging, is advising young people or anybody to say, start in the job so you can learn to build systems. Yeah. Is it because you're looking at it retrospectively that had you went through the processes, perhaps you wouldn't have spent 7-8 years earning 180 rands from a business?
You know what? Definitely. I mean, retrospectively, but also with where my journey is now. And over and above that, it's also with some of the businesses are partnered with their founders, right? You are able to clearly measure out, you know, that level of ideology and thinking to saying this individual was clearly weight behind their ears and they were not exposed to anything. And because this individual was not exposed to anything, they could only create was with whatever was within the cusp of their hands at that particular moment. So which is why my biggest advocacy would always be to say, instead of that limited mindset that says, I'm making them money, the mindset must say, because I'm already planted and positioned here, how do I learn as much as I can being in that particular space? Because the moment you learn that knowledge, it gives you a big advantage over people that started like me. You learn governance. So I've seen guys I work with achieving what I've achieved in 18 years over 4 years. And I understood how they were able to achieve that. They were exposed. So when a good friend of mine has got gyms in all these multinational corporations, but he's only started 6 years ago. It was easy. He was an investment banker that worked for Investec. He was exposed to those clientele. He liked going to the gym. He started engaging with them. He was already exposed into spaces. So the moment he jumped in, he already had someone saying, because you were interacting with me from a client perspective, I'm going to put money down into this crazy venture that you have. Mm. So it's those three quadrants.
To exposure, basically.
So it's those three quadrants. Travel if you have the money. But travel through books, travel through YouTube, travel through digital platforms. But if you get a chance and you can afford online or physical education, do it. It will change your perspective. And then if you get a job, you know, whether it's pouring petrol or you're the admin clerk, do that job and deliver as much value as you can. Because the moment you do that, it sets you up for success. It's automatic.
So let's speak Township Entrepreneurs Alliance. Right, and then the reason I say let's speak Township Entrepreneurs.
Oh, wow, is this mine?
Is because this is a cake, by the way, for the It's More Than Just Money movement channel for achieving 10,000 subscribers. Woo! Chief, you have to take away your box. You didn't have a birthday, when? No, I can tell.
I don't want to be careless.
There we go. That's the book that made it all possible for us to be sitting here to be having this movement. Turn it around so they can see 10,000 subscribers. Nico, we worked very hard for these subscribers. There are times we didn't sleep fighting at night because of subscribers and because of the work. Anyway, back to you, right? What I was actually asking and wanting to get at is the level where exposure played a key role, you know, in anything that you do.
So for me, till today,
and I want to get into Township Entrepreneurs Alliance.
No. So, and I think I'll sort of build into that. I mean, till today, that exposure is what drove me to start T. So my career, you know, pivots from layer to layer. But the layer closer to this particular story of T is I'm now running this business. I've got 25 employees working for me. We are running well, but I see a gap, and the gap is, I don't see a gap. Another commercial layer I'd added is now I'm a speaker. This is now years ago. I'm doing a lot of stages, local. I'm doing a lot of corporate.
You're speaking.
I'm speaking. I'm doing campaigns on TV.
And you had a CD as well.
I had a CD. Sold 5,000 of those from the boot of my car.
I was one of your customers, Chief. Get things done in the money.
So, this is guy. Sorry. So
am I taking you back when I do that?
Yeah, you are actually. Because that's the stuff you did, right? That's the stuff you did to sort of build whatever you wanted to. Man, you're throwing me off. What was I saying?
You were saying you sold 5,000
No, before that.
The back of your car.
This guy. But for me, it's the layers were, now I'm a speaker, but what I noticed is everywhere I'm speaking, it's beautiful. So it's the Sexenton Convention Center, it's the ICC in Cape Town, it's corporates that are beautiful buildings, some international places that look amazing. But anytime I attended a workshop, Kokasi, or any township, it was dirty. So my thinking was, but how are you going to impact the minds of these individuals if the environment looks like their homes? This person is walking from their home, which is most likely not paved, you know, which is most likely has their tapete, you know, which is the plastic tiles chipped, you know, which is, you know, you've got your clothes hanging on a wire, and then you're going to bring them to the same venue. You're not going to add a layer of value in shifting the mindset. Then I started to understand that the blockages are in the mind. So if I'm walking to the place that looks like home, then that place has got a very minimal, might have very minimal effect or impact on how I consume this information. But if this information looks totally different and adds a wow element and is impactful, then chances are that I'll walk in there and I'll be more open-minded to what these individuals will then teach and train me. And then we'll almost then use that to life, and that's how we get scammed. Oh, wow, he looks so handsome. He came in there wearing a suit and he posted a Ferrari. He had his Ferrari keys on the table and was talking, you could be like me. But I didn't take time to research him, and I immediately paid the 10,000 Rand a month to subscribe to his training, and then he scammed me. So we then are sold by the appearance, and the mind in and itself, because of the mind works that it works, it responds to your neurological notes. So it then became important for me to say, no, man, but because I do all these talks everywhere, and they look amazing, let's try and do something, that looks good. You know, that looks good, that will bring all those people that give amazing information and bring them into spaces where they would ordinarily never come to, right? And give them an invite to come to those spaces and share information. And that was our key thing. Our key thing in starting T years ago was to do two things. Bring Kasi entrepreneurs from Metembisa only, only 20 of them or 40 of them at the time. That's all we wanted to do. Bring them into one space once a month to share information and to network. That's it. But, you know, through the, you know, it's insatiable hunger, you know, as an entrepreneurial careers, we grew that. Then it was like, okay, cool, what's next? Then it was, you know, then it was the other townships and all nine provinces, over 180 townships, 70,000 entrepreneurs. We funded over 440 of them, a couple of millions. So for me, it's that staying curious. Now it's our actual business. You know, it's part of our business.
And it started off as more like CS.
It started off as something I funded, you know, because there were no sponsors, and at that point we're not thinking sponsors because you're doing it it's a passion project. So in between my work, I would bring some of the guys I was sharing stages with, and I would say, come to my township. You know, come to my township and share what you know, you know. come to my township and share what you know. So we did that for a good number of years. And then in 2000...
It was not 7 years, was it?
No, it wasn't 7 years. It wasn't. I mean, in 2018 late, we pivoted into other townships. Then we went fully national in 2019. Then we've been going national since. Then we've added other layers, insights, research, development, quite a lot of things that we've built on the sides that are seen in the market but don't have our name on it because we are commissioned to build those things on behalf of financial institutions and stuff like that. Some have our names on it, like our flagship program, which is called the Kasi Business Workshop. That's our property that we own, that we might sell one day and retain control. But we build quite a number of things that are solely aimed at brands that are interested in township, that are interested in the entrepreneurial and youth markets and segments, and how do we access these markets and segments.
Sure.
No. So that's what I do now, and a lot of other things. But this is This is my main passion thing. Yeah.
No, congratulations on how far you've come, man. I think we are proud of the work that you're doing. I know this is going to be challenging to choose, but I want to hear one or two success stories of clients that touch you, clients that you've worked with that have inspiring stories.
Clients. I mean, you mean
clients or
clients that you helped,
Entrepreneurs.
Yes.
Sure.
One or two.
I guess I'll say the one that
and then
comes
we
to
can
mind.
open it up to the floor.
Yeah. So the first one is when we did something with Standard Bank, and the lady had ethnic dolls. She still has them.
What?
Ethnic dolls, like because we don't look like
Chief,
Barbie
just
and
say
Ken.
black dolls.
Or black dolls. African dolls.
Ethnic dolls, like.
Man.
Okay, good.
So what had happened is, before she had participated in the program that we're working on, they had all of them stored in a garage, SO8.
The dolls.
So there was two of them. She had a business partner, was a financial partner. She ran the business as, I guess, the sole control and operator. They manufactured them. They brought them in from China. They were starting to sell them. They lost, over 300,000 Rand worth of stock because that house burned down with all of their stock.
Yeah.
She then participated in the program and she then went on to win. She won R1 million. This is in 2017 when we did that, So she's one of the amazing success stories. The second one is when we did something else with another bank, FNB, and this amazing lady had a beautiful business. So what she did is she loved planting veggies because she could not afford buying them at a retail store. So what she then did is she then started to get the neighbors, our society in Abanyabo Mama, to also go plant veggies. And she went and negotiated with the local supermarket and said, get rid of all these guys that supply you, will supply you. And then what she then did is that she built up a system using a plastic bag and wood, and which was a farming system. She named it her farming system, but it was just, checkers bags on 38 by 38 bendering wood that you can find from any hardware in the country. She resold that to them. She found a place. She registered some seed. She resold seeds to these women. They then grew and became a bigger network. And out of that network, they got 60. Over the years, they grew. They then became a network of thousands of women within an area in KZN. And then when they won the competition we had, they got a 67 million Rand take-up deal. Right. So she has got uptake. So for uptake. So she's got seeds that she's registered now that she owns. So what that means is that it's her type of crop that guarantees the output. So in most cases, I'm not a farmer, right? And farmers will correct me. But what I learned from that moment was you don't plant spinach. We don't all plant the same spinach. A certain type of seed registered in a certain way develops a certain type of crop. That's how you deliver the right sort of output every single time. It's systemized. So she won that challenge. Another one is an amazing entrepreneur, and I got a lot of flack for this. But it was operating from Mkukwini, LX. It was making 500,000 Rand a month, man.
What is that?
500 selling quotas.
Pause. You're speaking fast, and you're speaking English, and maybe these people don't understand English. Did you guys hear what he said? He said there's someone who was operating from a shack in Alex. Now, I grew up in Alex, right? And Tembisa, of course, but Alex. That the person was making 500,000 rands a month from a shack. Okay, continue. I think you guys didn't hear that.
And I'll give you guys context.
How much did the person make?
500. And I'll give you context.
No, wait. How much did the person make?
So they made 500.
Not 180.
Let me give you context. Not 180. So let's do the right math.
500,000 rands a month.
Because I still remember the math of what we got out.
Sure.
500,000 rand a month on average. So
gross.
But no. Let me give context. 500,000 rand a month on average. Their lowest month was 300,000 rand. Their highest month was 680. We looked at only that 12-month period. It was for an entry to a certain program. Now, when you average it out, it's 500,000 rand a month. Now, what you then do is that their net profit, which was the most astounding thing. So their net profit, which was the most astounding thing for me, was sitting at 47%. You get big businesses that can't hit 47%. You know,
so on that 500,000, they were looking at the region of 230 profit a month.
That's their profit. This guy is operating, and that's all he does. You know, and I think for me, it was a beautiful story, and I'll tell you why. Because we were given 2 pals when we got onto we were commissioned onto the program late. They had already ran through their own selection, and they already gave us pals. They had a pal for declines and a pal for approvals. We were only commissioned to work with the approved and take them to the next step. But we asked for the decline file. Then we went through them. But when you went through them, that's how you pick out these amazing stories, these amazing guys. But where they failed is I believe that they were failed because they failed to articulate themselves. Because the biggest debate that we then entered into when we wanted to move some of the declined guys into the approved was, but you don't even know what business this is. Because the person writes, they ask the question, what business do you run? No, I run, Paradise Quarter or Franchise Quarter, whatever the name was. What makes you different? No, what makes us different is that people keep coming here, they taste good, so they're the best. So to an articulate and learned person, put this one side, there's no business here because the person can't articulate themselves.
Sure.
And then what I picked out is, on this pile, the ones that were put at the top of the pile as being the people to really look out for, they spoke good English but had no business. But when you went to the numbers, this guy has numbers. The numbers make sense because, the numbers don't lie. And he has the numbers, he just can't articulate himself. So we then bridge the gap to say, we are then going to help you guys understand what this person is saying, and let's bring this person along for the journey. And that's what happened. But what people don't realize with the township and the township economy is that 500,000 was the least of the people that we have worked with or some of the entrepreneurs we've met. It's the smallest. It's some of the small amounts that you come across, right? Because for me, it's, you now look at,
it's easy to say now that 500,000
I never mentioned their brands for safety.
Yeah, of course.
It's very important. I never mentioned their brands for safety because equally, I'll tell you something. We are running a mentorship program where some of the pitch winners and some of the guys that have won pitches at our workshop have won 50,000 rand. Now, the biggest problem when we now are doing depth mentorship with some of these guys is this. They can't do the conventional book marketing stuff.
What do you mean?
So they can't brand their vehicles. Right. They can't brand their offices. They can't even post about their wins or their successes because, too successful in a certain place means that you become a target.
Sure.
But also, crime has become such a big problem in some of these communities that even the person who's selling onions on the side of the road has to pay a protection fee. Success now has become a problem. Being successful is now his big problem. Now we're saying you can actually grow. He's gone from 25,000 rand a month to 150. And now there's more business, but he's turning it away because he can't look successful because of the issues that it's going to pose on his life. So it's important. So you don't ask this question, but it's important that I put this message across to anyone who's going to read this. There are 2 layers. There's a layer of research that will tell you that the biggest challenge that entrepreneurs are faced with is market access, which is true. Because all of us want to access markets so that we make more money. Better markets means we grow, we employ more people. But there's a layer of the economy where the person only wants to make so much and cap it there, because if I make anything more, then there's an element of crime which I can't work myself against and above. But to go back to those businesses, I mean, there's a guy who sells glass sheeting, supplies quite a number of glass places in urban areas, and makes, on his lowest day, makes 70,000 rand a day. Works from Emmy Kukwini that he built up, zinc container, Emmy Kukwini. So meaning that he's surrounded by Emmy Kuku. So he's built up the space, and that's all he does. So when you walk there, there's nothing paved, there's gravel, even inside, it doesn't look good. And I think for me, that's a disruptive mindset that says, explore, don't write off what you have not explored. What I mean by that, don't think that money is in sense in if you have not explored the communities that you come from. If you've explored the communities that you come from and you have now relegated to say, my market is not here, then perfect, go to where your market is. Is it in China? Is it in New York? Is it overseas? Or where is it? But to undermine and to relegate that market and to go into other markets, then you lose money, because when you sort of look at the trail and the train of where a lot of big businesses, especially in retail, are going, they're in the townships. Yeah. Why? Because it's a multi-billion rand economy, but it's a multi-billion rand economy that operates above the heads of the people that transact within that space. So which is why I've often said to people, don't undermine the 10 rand that you have. Because the 10 rand that you have is power, it's buying power. But we are waiting to get 1,000 rand in order for us to dictate where that money goes. So being deliberate with that money is what then actually changes, the economic play of the country. Because if I'm deliberate in saying, if I live in a township called Hospital View, and there are other nationalities that are selling, and there are other nationalities that are running tuck shops, and they're selling, but they're the closest to my house. But Witness is close to 1 kilometer away from me. I'm going to walk to Witness's place and buy from him. Why? Because if he's successful, then that is the blueprint of success. So what we have created as the blueprint of success is Bernard Arnault, LVMH, is, Donald Trump and Elon Musk and the sort. But the reality is those journeys are totally different. Number one. But number two, the economic impact of me being able to empower a Mr. Mdaga is catastrophic, because if he becomes a billionaire, guess where he's spending the money? He's spending in his local economy. He's employing locally. We are able to then create the type of jobs that we're looking for. But most importantly, it says to a young black kid like Bulelani growing up at Tembisa, actually, if Mr. Mdaga has hit 1 billion out of a naturalized business, I can hit 1 billion. So that's where the disparity then now comes in being able to build actual models.
You know what I love about that? We can give him a round of applause. We had a guest earlier on this morning, Talifani, and he says to us, because of the township market.
I looked at his business.
He looked at his business.
Good business. Good guy. Yeah.
He employs over 500 drivers through his Paza Eats app. And he says some of the people that are running businesses in the townships right now, because now he's created a platform where people are able to buy through his app, have moved from making 20,000 rands a month to 70,000 rands a month, some to even 200K a month. So I'm just echoing what you're saying, that there is actually a need for us to support the local businesses and the local enterprises.
There's a lot of money.
There's a lot of money. Hey. So I'm going to open it up to the floor. The floor. Questions, comments. Questions, comments. You've got a question.
The best dressed gentleman in the room.
Yeah.
You look good, by the way. I was whispering to him about you.
He saw you, eh? Did you see that?
Yeah.
Is the mic working? It feels like it's a bit.
Okay. I talked about that I grew up here in Midrand, and after I matriculated, I sort of started rebelling against this suburban culture that I grew up in. And 2016, I left Johannesburg and I went to Cape Town and which was my first time living in the township, and ended up staying there for about 5 years. And during that period, like a lot of stuff happened, which, because I'm an artist, motivated my sort of creative process. Then I created a body of work that got exhibited. However, then I remember when I went to the exhibition, I did try to take as many people as I could from the township to the exhibition. I realized that if I'd not taken them, there would be no black people at the exhibition. And I sort of got into conflict about creating work about the black experience, but it's consumed by a predominantly white audience.
Yeah.
And now I'm still trying to figure out then, like, how do we make things, such a thing as abstract as art, valuable to the township, and like instead, like, I know this is said a lot that, you need to leave the hood, but sort of like not really having to, because this was an environment I was sheltered away from. And growing up was like, I didn't understand, like, why wasn't I more exposed to that, and like sort of given the mentality of developing that? I guess that's the question.
Thank you. Should I?
Yeah. Go ahead.
No. So I like that, right? Because for me, although art is subjective in and itself, right? And we'll talk about art. The consumption of it is different. You know, Ekasi, when I was growing up, we were consuming art, but I wasn't aware it's art. So I wasn't aware that when a guy gets into his 325 IS, starts spinning it, and I get a ooze of inspiration, that was art in that moment. I wasn't aware that when Eskarango Bese got the ball and the whole crowd went crazy, that I carried that inspiration into my schooling as art, you know? So I think for me is to then say, the consumption, we must layer the consumption. If it's monetary consumption, then there's an educational element that we then need to bring into the fold, which is still going to take time, right? For the people to jump in and come into the fold. But also there's the aspect of the ones who are consuming this particular product. What sort of learning are we giving to them about where we come from and what the township looks like, to make them more open-minded to these economies? And when they're more open-minded to them, they're able to then spend more. And I guess when they're able to spend more, then I'm able to then, as an individual, say, I want to consume this particular art because, you know, I'm yet to meet people, amazing people like black people, because we love beautiful things. You know, one of the best art pieces that we have is our gates. You know, that's where a mother expresses her creative, you know, verbose or creative powers in saying to a welder, I want the best gates in the land. No, not that material shinang. Not that one take a black. Not that one goes, because I want when they pass here to see my artistic expression. So for me, it's always been about the moment where they educate those ones about what's going on, they become open-minded to coming in and spending more. The moment they spend more, then they're able to spend more into me, where I'm able to actually go out and buy art like I'm doing now. And I think that then becomes then the cycle of knowledge, where you're opening up people into spaces and educating them in that particular manner while empowering them at the same time. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for that question. Any other questions or comments? Question, comment from the floor. Going once, going twice. Coach, any more questions you have? Is that a hand? No. Any questions you have, Coach? Any last questions? So I've got a question, right? And I asked this question to Talifani as well. If we were to strip you naked and take away everything that you have, your businesses, your connections, your friendships, your relationships, and obviously leave you with your family, strip you naked, what would you do? What would be your first step, and what would be the process to rebuild what you've built over the years?
So I mean, with no connections.
Zero connections.
Okay, so I can't go to the people I know.
No.
So I'm stripped of everything, but I need to rebuild.
We leave you with your knowledge.
With my knowledge?
Yes.
It's easy. I go get a job.
You go get a job?
I go get a job and I work for free. Because if I go get a job and I ask them to pay me, they won't give me the same level of attention. But if I ask for a job and I ask to work for free and I overwork myself, I'm not just gonna get the attention of my manager. I'm gonna get the attention of the owner. The moment I get the attention of the owner and I add more value, I'll get a seat at the table with the owner. The moment I get a seat at the table, then I have affinity with the owner, meaning that he likes me. Then I do more things that the owner likes. And I start to ask the owner, not how can you help me, but how can I help you? I never ask for money. The moment I do that, then I can bring anything to the table. Why? Because I'm positive deposit. I've got positive deposits. Okay. So one of my mentors says years ago, he's done extremely well and all that stuff. And one black billionaire in the country calls him. And he says, listen, I like you. So my PA found your number somewhere. I'm whoever, but anyway, I like the work that you do. I'd like you to organize my daughter's 16th birthday party. Then in that moment, he felt a bit offended, but then he held himself back and said, hey, but the person who called me is very wealthy. But then he then said, oh, no, okay, cool. No, sir, I hear you. Okay, no, I'll come see you whenever. He meets him quickly. He says, here's my PA. You'll talk to my PA. I love the way you move. I don't know how you move, but I've seen some of your songs or whatever. Planned my daughter's 60th birthday party. He then thinks, you know what, I'm going to make the best of this. He calls his industry peers. They plan this birthday party. This birthday party is great. Some industry peers are there. It goes amazingly well. On the day of the birthday, he says to him, this is beautiful what you've done for my daughter. I love it, but you've not sent your invoice yet. He says, no, it's on me. He says, what do you mean it's on me? What do you mean that it's on me? What he had done in that moment, he had captured the attention of someone. He had captured. So we capture attention in different ways. You will capture my attention as someone who's very influential and who's got money. And I'll say, Mr. Mtaga's doing amazing work. No, I like that young man. He's doing amazing work, but I'll never actually give you money or do work with you. I'll never like your work so much that I pause what I'm doing and come and give you money. Or come and even work with you, right? But the moment you are able to capture my attention, now, behind this question, what do you give a man or a woman who's got everything they want? In this particular case, who's got all the money in the world, you take away their ability to utilize what they've worked hard for, which is their money. We take away their privilege for them to pay for what they've always wanted to be able to pay for. You take away the option to say, I've got enough money to be able to buy whatever I want. Now suddenly they can't afford something. What that then grants you is audience with them. What that then did is it granted them an audience not just to know each other and say we've got each other's number, but to relate and be able to spend time with each other. But that translated into 4 years later, hey, young man, listen, come to my office. There's a deal we're working on. I've already instructed them. It's 30 million rand. It's coming to you. Whether you do it or you don't do it, that money is coming to you. Because it's crumbs that are falling off a table where we are negotiating deals. But because you are the right values fit, then you are the one who wins. And I think that's the layer to entrepreneurship and growth. At some point, I need the best product to get audience in the market. But at some point, I get deals purely because I'm able to relate with Mr. Mdaga, who's controlling a certain part of the economy very well. But I'm not giving him kickbacks, because the reality of life and business, people do business with people that they like. People do business with people that they like. People buy products from brands that they like. So any product or anyone who's building any product or service, the one who's building a service needs to productize. The one who's already productized needs to find ways of winning over the neurological parts in people's brains, so much so that people are able to acclaim a certain industry to you. So which is why it makes sense when my uncle, whenever I used to visit my uncle Mkanza, and I deprive him of buying him alcohol, and then he then opts out for the cool drink option, he says, okay, Coke orange, so everything within that cool drink category is assimilated to that Coca-Cola. Yeah. So it makes sense then in Colgate, this was mentored in P, Colgate. Colgate, mentored in P, Colgate, yes, Sensodyne.
Or Aquafresh.
Oh, yeah, Aquafresh. Why? Because they are then segmenting themselves in that market. Yeah. Thank you. This was so nice.
Perfect. No chill.
Yo.
Welcome. You have to stand here, Chief.
Hey,
in front of the camera.
I just had wine. I don't want to fall. I've been listening, man, and your story and the way you articulate yourself is very great.
Coach, the mic
what
is
I
not
picked
on.
up about systems.
Wait. The mic is not on there.
Is it?
It's on.
It's on.
Oh, it's low.
Okay.
You mentioned systems. You know, I'm in a season where I'm trying to build systems. So the question is, how do you build the system, and how do you effectively measure the effectiveness of the system? I don't know if it
No,
makes
I
sense.
hear you.
Yeah.
So for me, it depends on industry.
Yeah.
So maybe let me ask, what industry are you in?
I'm online. I'm social media personal brand to say. Yeah. So
Okay, cool.
He's playing humble. He's got 1 million followers.
Okay, but what
He's
is
very fun.
No, but what is the business? The business is brands collaborate with you and you post about them and you make money, or
service. So I'm venturing into service. I have a book now. I'm doing courses online, and I'm a speaker also.
Yeah.
So it's services.
So for me, it's different. So for me, number one, if one had to build a productized version, if one has to build a productized version of you, one can't do that in the absence of bringing in other people. But the problem with bringing in other people is they type in different languages. That's not you.
Yes.
And the reason why any brand wants to work with you is because they like how you type. And
Sure.
all of us have a signature.
Yeah.
You know, if you haven't noticed, we all don't type the same English on Twitter.
Yeah.
Not broken English, but it doesn't sound, there's a tonality. And that's the thing about the brand.
Yeah.
Which is why, for me, the values exercise becomes important. Because what that values, so it's 4 things, you know, and I think we'll unpack them more and I'll give you more on that. But it's number 1, the values breakdown. Number 2 is your vision breakdown. Number 3, it's the values. And I'll send you this for, you know, it's there, it's stuff I've had for years. You know, it's the values exercise where you unpack it. And then number 3 is the culture set. The moment then you are able to then map all of these amazing things out, it becomes easier to bring on someone who then will speak in the exact same language as you in your absence.
Sure.
Because that then becomes the most important thing. But then if I were to say, okay, cool, you're an influential person within the digital space and you're engaging about digital, then the big thing for me would be to say, what part of the digital market am I talking about? And who is the most likely audience? You know, because any institution, let's say for instance, your audience was Nedbank.
Yeah.
Your audience can't be Nedbank. You know, that's a very limited mindset. It's like an entrepreneur saying, everyone is my client because I sell a magwenya or I sell socks. Is to say which department within Nedbank would be looking for my services.
Yeah.
So if it's the youth segment, what then can I create around what I do that can educate these individuals?
Sure.
So for me, if I'm a speaker, what products am I creating? Now you've created a book. How is it consumed? It's consumed physically. Can it be consumed online? Could there be learning courses that are simulated to this that you then limit to a certain number of people who then sign up to these courses?
Yeah.
And what does an alumni program looks like? So an alumni program in that particular case says, if these people were able to pay to be on your program and you've been able to verbally influence them for 6 months and they were locked into you, then the selection beauty of that means when you've got campaigns, these are the people that you can bring on because they've already ascribed to your way of doing things as opposed to engaging them and then leading them out into the market. So now you've got a funnel into the market to say anyone who's looking for a certain type of individual that kind of looks like this and you've mapped it around you anywhere in the country, I've got 40,000 of them or I've got 3,000 of them in every single part of the country and I can vouch and guarantee them.
Yeah. Nah, I hear you.
But as you unpack it more, I mean, I'm more than happy for us to unpack it more.
Yeah, because it's you know how I started. I started by being that person who gives. Now it's the time to take, and what I mean is, I used to give for free, everything for free, you know, access for free, knowledge for free. But now that I have the package, there are certain people who are used to that giving me, you understand? But now it's kind of hard to convert.
I'll tell you something.
Yeah.
So the people or the brands that you gave to, what do they look like? right? That's the first question to ask. And what do they look like is very broad, but what I'll ask is, what type of brands are they? If it's retail, what level of retail are they? Number one. Number two. Number one. Number two is to then say, in the retail space that they're playing in, are they a lead brand or are they a challenger brand? Because every industry, there's a lead and there's a challenger and then there's the mass. The mass is the mass is least likely to want to pay for anything. The one who's most likely to overpay is the challenger brand. The one who will pay but who will try and pay you low is always a lead brand because they've got arrogance.
Yes.
Now, the moment you are then able to unpack that, then now you then unpack something which I call the diversion tactic. The day I write a book, and I'm busy writing a book, but this part is not going to be in there.
Yeah.
But it's called the diversion tactic. Is to say, the people who have taken from me and the people who I've willingly given to, which brands are interested in these people? So which brands would see value in these individuals, which I then call my guaranteed audience?
Yeah.
So I'll make an example. So if I was giving my time to guys Elokshin and who are running car washes, and they would always come, Bulelani Balabala, they're operating from my corner. Every day I'm giving them water, I'm not charging. But the one day I want to charge them, no, you're charging us too much. So if I'm open-minded, it's to say, oh, actually, guys, how many of you guys are there, Ekasi, that are in the car wash space within this section? Oh, there's 6 of you guys. So I've got 2 things. I could either go to an agency and locate the agency that manages the account for Sunlight and say to them, I've got 30 guys that wash cars at Timbis. So I can give you a guaranteed audience of individuals that you can activate your brand to instead of going to a mall where you spray and pray and hope that those people actually use your product.
Yeah.
And the moment I get that money, then I'm able to then create a funnel where, no guys, don't even worry about paying for the water. Water's free from today on. Why? Because I've got someone else who's bringing revenue into that particular segment and market. Or could I then potentially go bring them together and say, what are the products that you guys are buying? Could I then go and buy these products for you at a differential price? And I'll negotiate the price for you at a macro or whatsoever retailer. And you guys just buy them through me. That is my way of making sure that you guys are taken care of while you're retaining 5 or 10% of that automated system. So it differs based on the industry that you are in and also based on where you want to play within the market.
Yeah.
But we'll chop it up after this.
It's quite difficult.
I'm interested to chop it up because I'm also open-minded enough. There are questions I want to ask you, but I don't want to ask you publicly because they're going to talk to where you are making money and how you're making money.
Yeah.
And I want to have that one-on-one because the moment we have that one-on-one, then we'll chop up how you must engage those people and make more money.
No, sure. Thanks, man.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Awesome.
I've never drank water from a wine glass. Yeah. This is what happens when you come to Midra Waterfall.
Any questions, comments? Questions, comments? I see a hand there at the back. Come through. Come to the fore. This is the fore, right?
Yeah. Yeah, come to the... Hey, big English. Hey, how are you, sir? Sure.
Gift Mashakeni. I just want to ask, but then my question is similar to ask, but then to ask in terms of the industry that I'm operating. Yeah. So I own a fragrance company. I started it last year. So I've been struggling also to create a system because for now I'm alone, but then I also have 2 guys who are helping me with selling and trying to market the business. So I'm trying to scale and I'm also trying to create a system because I'm battling. I'm also a full-time employee trying to run. So I'm struggling a lot. So what can you advise me to scale and also to create a system? Because we produce and we also sell.
So let me ask you this before you sit. So you've got a challenge, sure, but what's your biggest pain point in the business? What's the biggest pain point? Is it the fact that the guys are mixing the colognes wrong? Is it the fact that they're boxing them wrong? Is it the fact that you're not getting as much customers as you want to? Is it the fact that you know you can be doing more, but you are limited? Even if it's 2 or 3, what are the big things that irk you, that drive you crazy?
Yes, I mix them alone, and then they just help me with selling and marketing the business.
Do you pay them a salary or do they get commission?
They get commission
Per sale, per sale that they sell out.
Per perfume.
Okay, cool. Per perfume.
Yes.
What type of perfumes are they? What category perfume are they?
It's generic.
It's generic stuff.
Yes.
So what are you guys? You guys are white labeling. So you get a perfume. Do you call it your brand or do you call it the generic version of an Azaro or whatever the case is?
So we're trying to introduce our own.
But
names.
what are you doing now? What are you doing now?
Now we call the same. It's inspired.
And then who do they sell to? Do you know who they are selling to or where they are selling?
Yeah, they're selling in Alex and are also selling Chembisa.
But where, Alex? So for me, the reason why I ask this is to say, if you're doing generics, right? What you then need to then go back to is put them in categories. All generics have a profile, customer profile, right? Oh, McDonald had a farm, sorry. I'm a dad. I hear these songs every single day. They've kept up every single. So Baby Shark and all. Sorry, man. So for me, it's to say it's not just perfume that you're selling. There's the feel good stuff where we talk about, you selling appearance, stuff like that. But for me, it's to say, what category market of stuff are you selling? And what do those things sort of smell like, right? Umjita, Oza, Eshisanyama, what sort of cologne would they be most likely to buy, right? Mama, Abayama society, which ones are they most likely to buy? The moment you do that, then it becomes an easy sell. Then you're able to talk to Umama. No, Mama, you know what? This one smells fresh. Because also the sales pitches will differ depending on whoever you're talking to. And it's important that you bring your guys along for this particular journey. I'll make an example. So here's this young boy who's selling magazines. I'm selling them at a street corner. And I've got a couple of sales. I see the same lady. I'm going to make the analogy with the same lady. She looks beautiful. She's well dressed. She's got a formal, I guess, the female version of a male suit. I don't know what that's called. She's got a crisp white shirt. She's got a briefcase or a suitcase, and she's power walking. She's got her glasses on. She turns the corner. I'm there selling these books, right? So the first sale could be, "Hi, ma'am. You look so beautiful. You look so powerful. I've always dreamt of being someone like you the day that I grew up. The day that I grew up. I'm selling these aspirational books. If you support me in this, I'll be able to consume them and potentially one day look like you." That's an aspirational sale. Then a sympathy sale. "Hi, ma'am, how are you? You look so beautiful. You look like the type of person who likes feeding or giving back to the environment. If you buy this magazine, then I stand the potential to go to school and I'll potentially look like you." That's the sympathy sale. It's got nothing to do with the person's power, their look, and their achievements, but it's got everything to do with how it's going to make them feel. So which then goes back to how the guys are selling your product and how the product makes them feel. But I'll say this to you. Take advantage of the network marketing effect. Now, there's a number of things you need to bring into effect to gather people in for network marketing. So one of the other entrepreneur that we work with has been able to scale their business and drop down their costs. They had 20 employees that were unable to hit some of their sales labels because they are not as incentivized. Now, the moment they then started to bring people in that paid in a membership fee, but they outlined clearly what the value is for that person selling this product, not as a full-time job, but as a side hustle while they are working for company X, Y, and Z, they then started to see a bigger uptake of individuals because those individuals were clearly packed with the right sales pack to go out there and sell these things. So in effect, these things ended up selling themselves. So not an Avon product, which would have the marketing budget to print your marketing catalogs every quarter or every 2 months. No, this is an individual who's saying, "Lalela, when usebenza la abantu basebenza la abantu my buyers are at. Into engizoyenza when athatha product, bhatala 500 rand membership fee, mina ngisupplya the product, you don't need to do anything or sweat. These people, you give them a unique number, they register on the platform through you. All you do is you press bought, we deliver the things to you when you continue with your life and you earn your salary. But that's more in the long term. But unpack this particular thing, because you're not just selling, not everyone wants to smell good, believe it or not. Yeah. But even the ones who want to smell good, they have nosed themselves in a certain way. So they've got a scent. They've got a scent that they want to be assimilated with or sort of ascribe to. What is that scent? The moment you unpack that, then you win. The second thing for me is this, or rather the third thing is this. The people who buy your perfumes or colognes, do you have their numbers and names?
Yes.
All of them on a what do you do with that? What do you do with that data?
All of them.
You don't have all of them?
No.
So the first thing we do after this is you need to have name, surname, cell number, and email address of everyone who's bought your product. Because what that then does is, at a push of a button, because you must remember one thing. If I've paid Witness 10,000 Rand for this month to be my sales agent, and Witness prospects 1 million people, and then all I'm interested in is the 10 people he's brought in that become my active customers and sell, I've actually lost. Because then the question is, whenever you introduce a new product like you're doing now, and you want to communicate with these 1 million people that were prospects about the new product, who might now become your upsell, how do you communicate with them? You can't, because you don't know them. So what I need you to do is this. Go home, tell your guys, we're collecting names, even if you don't collect email address, a cell number for everyone we sell to. And then what you do, every single Monday, you collect that list, you sit yourself, you load them onto WhatsApp. You get a burner phone, you're not a burner phone, but you get a second phone, you load them onto WhatsApp. After you load them onto WhatsApp, add them into a broadcast group. You don't bombard them with messages. Only on the day after they've purchased from you, send them a message, thank you so much for purchasing my product. Once a month, you send them, you create your content. If it's going to be once a month or once a quarter, you send them stuff. A broadcast group is limited to 250 people. While you create that broadcast group, the moment it fills up, you create another one. You send them content once a month or twice a month. You will have to determine that flow. The moment you do that, you start to then punt your WhatsApp channel. You understand? Because then you've got the database of everyone. And if they want to opt out, you make it easy for them to opt out immediately. But now, the 1 million, what I've paid him for, I didn't just pay him for the 10,000 Rand in cash that he brought at the end of the month. I'm paying for every single contact that is going to bring into the door. As you build your system and you start to make it smarter, now you know what they eat, you know where they shop. When you know where they shop, if they shop at a hippie chef, then why am I opening a store? Why don't I just go put them up at a hippie chef and I advocate there, because my customers buy from hippie chef. So if they buy from hippie chef, it's most likely that they'll also buy my product. Your cost of operating becomes less. So the narrative that says all of us must open up stores becomes limited by the markets that is limiting if you don't understand the market. It's either empowering or limited based on whether you understand or you don't understand the market that you're operating.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. That was a lot of value.
I enjoyed it, actually. Actually, really.
And what people don't
actually really
what I appreciate, right, about people like you taking time to get into spaces like this, to disseminate information, to empower other people, is because people don't realize how much you guys would be making if it was another platform where you're getting paid. Yeah. In spaces where you get invited to say the exact same thing, and somebody pays you 50,000 rands, 100,000 rands for the exact same thing.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
I appreciate the value that you brought here. You know, Talifani also said earlier on that for him, it's not even about the cash anymore. It's about the legacy. It's about the amount of people that he's touching with his life and his businesses. And I see that in you. I see the passion, you know, and that's the reason why we started the Winner's Circle, to create a platform, an environment where people can come here, engage with other people, share information freely without holding back. So So this is me saying, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
That you came out here and gave info. Coach, do you have any closing words before I close you out?
It will be that I appreciate Bulelani as well, man. It's the work that you do cannot be measured in numbers. If you look at lives that you're touching and stories that some you probably don't even know about, I think it's keep doing what you're doing. The country needs it, and we love what you're doing.
No, thank you. And also, I think it's a big thing for me because I'm invited on the 10,000th subscription, so that's big. Eh? Don't undermine me, 10,000. So when you hit 1 million and 100,000, which you will, call me.
Sure. All right, guys. So if you're watching on YouTube, you are not in the room. We are about to celebrate having achieved 10,000 subscribers on YouTube. I'm not going to say this feels like a dream because I knew we were going to achieve it anyway, right? 4 months ago, Nico, is it 4 months? 4 months ago, we took a decision in our office that we are going to drop content every single week. And then, Coach, I must say thank you to you because although I've inspired you to go back into social media, you actually inspired me to do these interviews. I remember the first time you spoke to me and said, you speak very well. Why don't you come join our radio station? And I came out, I became a presenter on the Hope Alive radio station. I've interviewed so many people. And then after that, I think you were watching me. You said to me, I see that you've left the radio station, but I want to encourage you to now work on your YouTube channel full time. Now, DJ Swoo spoke to me about that earlier in the year. I didn't take it as seriously. You came back and said, do the interviews. And then what you did, which I appreciated, you then recommended even one of your clients to come be our first interviewee last year in August. And not only did you do that, you even also brought equipment and said, I see you don't have cameras, you can't use your iPhone. I'm going to give you my equipment from sound to cameras, and I'm also going to give you the technical stuff that are going to do it. And then on top of that, you said, listen, let me give you one of my technical guys full time. Wow. And you did that. And people don't realize how much work is done behind the scenes and the number of people that actually add value to the work that you see on the outside. You know, all you can do is take the first step. And by taking the first step, there's someone else that's going to say, I see what you do. No, there's another guy. You were away with some of the equipment and left us with a few cameras.
Yeah.
Yes, right? But after you left, you know what happened? Another guy came to me and said, I saw your interview with No Chill. You're quite an inspiring guy. You know what? Don't use one camera. I too will give you equipment and cameras. You know, you usually charge for this, but you can have the equipment and cameras because we see the work that you are doing for it's more than just money and the number of lives that you are touching, inspiring, and moving to the next level. And you know what he also did? He brought us a technical person. He says to us, we don't want you to just do it. We want it to be one of the best because you guys have reached 10,000 subscribers. So from me to you, my brother, my friend, I want to say thank you.
Thank you.
And now you are behind the scenes asking questions. You're like a ghost, but people don't know how much you've actually contributed to us reaching this milestone. You know, so I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to the team at It's More Than Just Money for believing in the project, for believing in the work, for going across the country, doing the It's More Than Just Money movement tour, empowering people across the country. I'm talking 9 provinces. Sometimes we do 2 cities in one weekend. Sometimes would sleep at places where we look at it and say the quality is not the same because there's no Protea hotel in that particular town. But we slept anyway and we got the job done. And I want to say thank you to my technical team. I want to say thank you to the readers of It's More Than Just Money. It's 3-4 years later. Our book is still trending. Our book is still being bought. I don't know. People ask me what's the formula. I think the formula is consistency. You know, the formula is actually putting yourself out there and just doing the work. And I want to say thank you to our producer, Mr. Nico. Let's give him a round of applause. People don't know how much I actually grill him. You know, on the outside, I smile and all of that. But there are times where I actually switch. I think I've got a split personality sometimes. Today I would be smiling and I'd see something that's so wrong. And he would just look at my face and realize, hey, something is wrong here, and just fix it. So for the consistency, Teammate, it's more than just money, for everything, you know. And for you guys, for coming out here to join us. I know you could be doing something. It's a Saturday after all. There are weddings that you could have been attending. There's, what do they call the thing after the funeral?
After tears.
There's after tears that you could have attended, but you decided that you're going to be here with us and enjoy this moment of us reaching 10,000 subscribers, you know? And I want you guys to give yourselves a round of applause. Now, last but not least, I want to thank me. I want to thank me for writing the book. I want to thank me for spending sleepless nights and putting in the work. Sometimes not even spending time with my daughter, but going out there into the field at times where even there would be no financial benefit to it and would do it anyway. You know, I want to thank me for being consistent with the YouTube channel every week, going out and saying, hi guys, welcome to the Winner's Circle on the It's More Than Just Money movement channel. Repeating all of that, reaching out to people like our guest today who delivered value. How many of you agree that value was delivered this afternoon? So most of us do agree. So I want to thank myself for actually putting in the work. And I also want to say that the movement, It's More Than Just Money, does not belong to me, by the way. It belongs to each and every one of us. You know, our guest, one of the guests earlier on said to me, at times where you feel like there's no financial benefit to this thing, it's too late for you to give up, because this thing no longer belongs to you. It belongs to the lives that are going to be impacted because of this. I'm going to tell a short story before I close, right? There's a lady that actually came into the store today, and she came in with one mandate and one purpose. She said to me, I came to actually say thank you, because in your book, you speak about your grandmother. My story resonates a lot with your grandmothers, because I too am a cleaner in the municipality. And she says to me, witness, you don't understand. In 2020, when you wrote your book, I read it. And right now, I've got a paid up apartment in Hillbrow, and I've got a policeman renting from me. And I earn 8,000 rands a month. And then she comes back in the same conversation and says to me, actually, let me not talk. She opens her app. She opens her banking app. And she says to me, do you see how much money I have in my banking app? And I say, I see, it's almost 100,000 rands. And she says to me, I have not touched my salary since last year, May. Because I decided that I'm going to lend money to my colleagues who drive expensive cars, who've got beautiful clothes, and are walking in heels. Some of them come to me and say, can we talk privately? And they lend money from me. I charge them 50% profit or 50% markup. 1,000 rand is going to be 1.5. So those are stories that I think resonate with what we wanted to achieve with It's More Than Just Money. Just hearing those people saying, my life was changed in a small way, in a big way, in this way, and in that way. And because of that, I'm able to feed myself. I'm able to feed my family. I'm able to pay my expenses. And I'm able to have a chance to start something and grow my business. So thank you for supporting the work. Thank you for coming out. And I think we're going to give a toast. And there's a brother who's also been of great support. And I think you're going to be doing the toast, Mr. Z. And should we stand for the toast? What's going on? You want to come this side? We can stand. You want to come to this mic? What do you want to do? And I see you went to gym today. I think Bulelani was making room for you for one of the mics.
This is a bit easier for us to stand.
Yeah.
Am I in the shot?
You have to be here.
All right.
What's going to happen, fan? Hey, you like white, eh? You're wearing white on that video there.
This guy. Okay. All right. Don't we just like this guy? Okay, we love him, right? Who loves Witness?
Chief, why are you forcing
do.
people?
No, I'm not forcing people. Sometimes people find it hard to express their feelings. So, and I have no problem saying, whoa!
Whoa!
That is to say, I mustn't take long. I got the message, fine. But I want to say, guys, for me, there are three things I think about when I think about Witness. First of all, I think about confidence. I think about a man that really is very sure of himself, of his identity, of his call, of his skills, and what he's able to achieve. And one thing I've noted about him since I've met him is that whenever he says, I'm going to get something done, he gets it done. It doesn't matter how, but he just gets it done. So the first thing I want us to think about is that. Confidence is one thing, the first thing we're going to toast to. So let's all stand. Can we just distribute some drinks to everybody? I need one as well, it'd be great. Hey? No, it's fine. I can have a sip and I'm sure God will be okay with me even if I had. For those of you who don't know, I'm actually a pastor, so that's why they're kind of making a big fuss about this. So let's just everybody grab a glass, some champagne. If you want juice and you want to stick with that, you're more than welcome. Grab some juice as well. So the first thing we're going to toast to is confidence. The second thing we're going to toast to is, I've mentioned, Witness is a man of action. So we're going to toast to confidence and action. Okay? And then the third thing, awesome. The third thing we're going to toast to is vision. Confidence is a man of vision. And I think it's a crucial thing to have as a person. The one time, I think the last event that we did, you were talking about that. You were talking about the fact that if you're going close, you don't have to have a plan. But if you're going far, you need to have a plan. And I've noted this myself as well, that people who don't have anywhere to go don't have any plans. And as a result, it doesn't matter whether they achieve anything or not, because whatever they achieve, it doesn't matter anyway. And this man here has a massive vision that I continue to see manifesting, becoming bigger and larger and larger. So there are three things then that we're going to toast to. First of all, we're going to toast to confidence, which for me, I believe he epitomizes that. He really embodies that very well. Secondly, we're going to toast to action. So can 2024 for all of us be a year of action? Not just yep, but getting things done, right? And then the third thing we're going to toast to is what? Vision. You have a massive vision. I know you've shared with everybody, but as they're busy pouring the drink, can you just remind us again what the vision is for? It's more than just money for 2024.
For 2024?
Yes.
Okay, for the channel, our aim is to reach 100,000 subscribers and impact a minimum of 1 million lives through the channel. But we also want to continue to do our roadshows and impact as many lives as we can. So for me, it's not even about the millions, it's about the one. Mm-hmm. I'm looking for just one person to inspire, to be honest. I'm not breaking my back trying to inspire everyone. I'm not for everyone. It's either I'm for you or I'm not.
Yeah.
So I'm looking for those I'm called for. Even if it's one person that I need to inspire, I would have done my job.
Super.
So that's what the vision and the mission is for. It's more than just money. But for the channel, we are reaching 100,000 subscribers this year and 1 million subscribers next year. And it's going to happen. You'll see.
I know it will. I have no doubt about it. So, first toast, grab your glasses and raise them to confidence.
To confidence.
Okay, some of you are not saying confidence, and because you're not saying confidence,
your name is confidence, right?
It's a problem.
Confidence.
So to confidence, say it out. Say it with your chest. To confidence.
To confidence.
Yeah. To action.
To action.
Okay, with action, we're gonna be a bit animated. To action. Come on. To the vision.
To the vision.
Vision. Awesome. One more. To witness and the team. All right. And then this one is huge. To you.
To me.
Say to me. To you. To me. Okay. All right. Cool, man.
Thank you, Mr. Z.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. Nico, he's done.
Back to you, sir.